I don't want to turn people off.
Our national borders protect us from an invasion or any defense more than anything else.
What borders?
Our national, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
yeah.
You mean the Rio Grande?
Yeah.
No, I mean specifically the Atlantic, the Pacific.
Oh, okay.
Our geostrategic location, I think, is one of the main reasons why the United States is as prosperous and as powerful as it is right now.
Yeah, it's hard to invade.
No one could fuck with us.
No.
It's like you're gonna have to go a very long way in order to do so.
Yeah.
So
We can fuck with ourselves, though, is the problem.
Yeah.
If the issue was on this landmass, so if you look at Asia, you got Russia, China, you've got Russia, Ukraine. They're fighting because their ideologies, they differ, their political alignments. In the United States, we talk about how we're fine because of the oceans. It's hard to invade. California, Oregon, and Washington. I mean, they're effectively not even the United States as far as the rest of the ideology of the country goes. They're so far left.
Seriously.
You look at all the different regions. Don't think about it like the U.S. can't be invaded. Think about it like, what is it? YouGov data showed 60-some-odd% of the southern region wants to secede from the Union. Something like 48% of the Midwest of independent voters want to secede from the Union. Of the West Coast, it's like 40% of liberals want to secede from the Union.
Yeah.
So these groups will fight. And then you get, I don't know, a divorce, I guess. I don't know what you'd call it, because it's like 5 different regions breaking apart.
Yeah, seriously.
Do you think California will draft their trans men, right? The trans men are exempt.
Listen, if you hop anyone on steroids and hormones, they'll fight pretty aggressively. Let's be real with ourselves.
I'm sorry, man. You're born as a male. That's the curse you have to bear your entire existence. Whether you chemically change that, you're still born as a male. You still pay a debt to society by signing up for the draft. The selective
Okay, well,
service.
That's the Ukraine position right now.
I think that's wrong, and I think it's insane that you can have a trans man on testosterone since, say, 16 years old, 220 pounds of lean muscle, and like a beard, like Buck Angel. You ever seen Buck Angel?
Oh, yeah.
It's like the idea that we would choose Blair White to go fight a war before Buck Angel, even though Buck Angel's much, much older. I'm still like, yeah, but come on, all that testosterone and muscle mass.
Does Buck Angel still have a vagina?
Yes.
And men will try and rape that. So you gotta men and women.
I don't know about that, dude.
That's the nature of fucking war, man.
What?
You want to
explain that.
Dudes
please.
will rape
step by
when
step.
when they go in and they're angry and they're hopped up on energy and they're fucking bloodlusting and they're crazy. They will eat, they will destroy, and they will rape. They love. I mean, that's how they get the aggression, the post-battle aggression out.
Right.
I mean, I guess, because like we see it in prison and stuff to a certain degree. But I'm like, look, this is Buck Angel.
I mean, yeah, this is the thing.
This is a picture of Buck Angel. I think Blair and Buck are actually really good friends. Buck's really cool if you follow his Twitter. He's like very anti-woke and like challenges a lot of the bullshit. But I'm saying, I think Buck Angel's a little too old to be drafted. Still, if I had to pick someone to guard my perimeter, actually, I'll ask you, Drew. Like, 5'3" trans woman, biologically male. I don't know if Blair's actually 5'3". I'm just saying, like a short, let's say 5'5". Maybe Blair's even taller than that. But like a male who's on estrogen with breast implants, or, Buck Angel. A female, but decades on testosterone. Would you prefer, which one would you think would be better?
Well, again, we're defending behind walls with the AR-15s and 12-gauge shotguns, so your sex and your physical condition doesn't matter a whole lot. If you can pull the trigger and aim, you're going to be a good guard.
So both of them, draft them all.
Yeah.
Hey, well there you go. That makes more sense than not drafting people who are hopped up on testosterone, right?
I mean, cover fire is cover fire, right?
There you go.
Take them where you could get them. And a lot of the elite military special units, a lot of them are always accused of taking testosterone, of taking steroids in order to pass the qualifications, in order to be in the special military operations. So there's already a bunch of people hopped up on hormones. So why not just start giving it out officially? Bunch of testosterone for all the frontline military guys.
You want to know something that's really funny that I didn't really consider until I had to actually start distributing bulletproof vests? Women take less damage internally from getting shot in their bulletproof vest. For obvious reasons.
I wonder why.
Makes sense.
Bazungas.
Yeah.
What a
And
shot.
you guys called me crazy for wearing them 2 weeks ago.
So we were actually out, we're getting bulletproof vests, and the women have to get different size ones. It's harder to tighten, because they got boobs. And then I actually asked the security guy. I was like, for obvious reasons, those boobs are going to provide defense towards the internal. Like obviously the boobs will get damaged, but the boobs will dissipate more of the energy. He's like, oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, women who get shot with bulletproof vests sustain less internal injuries than men do. Like, well, there you go. That's like you said, Ian. It's a curse to be a man. Women, they can't even get hurt from getting bullets because their boobies are protecting them.
I have compassion for people that don't feel well in their body, that want to take chemicals and change this stuff up. I have compassion, but at the same time, a biological male is a biological male, as far as science has told me. And when it comes to fucking combat, man, I just don't pretend your way. You can't. There's no pretense.
I don't know.
But I guess if
women
you
can
take a
fight.
bunch of estrogen, a man and his body degrades into like this weakened version of it. Is that what happens on
Yeah.
estrogen?
Yeah, exactly.
Muscle mass depletes.
And then they just assume that men are stronger, which is why it's men that get drafted.
Yeah.
Like you're saying that people would rape the female, and I'm like, do you think that an enemy soldier would see Buck Angel and be like, I'm going to rape that?
I don't even think they would know that it was a female.
Exactly.
So, yeah, exactly. That's not going to be me, dude. I'll tell you that right now. It wouldn't be me. Doesn't matter how long that scene is taking place. I'm not going to be going after Buck Angel. anytime
Well,
soon.
I mean, to be honest, I don't think you'd go and rape anybody if you were in
Hey,
war.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
That's like not really an American cultural thing.
No.
There are people who do it.
Certainly
I mean,
not.
we've heard fucked up stories. But, you mentioned this. Americans are good people. Even in government. And that's true. I'm personally not saying trust the government. I'm not saying the government does good. I'm saying I think most people are good people. The problem is bad people get in and they exploit these things, whether it's a corporation or government. They exploit power, and then they use it to enrich themselves to make their lives simpler and easier and to control other people because they're bad people. So what do you do?
Law. You create laws that apply to everyone, regardless of emotions.
What is that?
Those worked really well.
Biological male drafted at 18.
Those really stopped Jeffrey Epstein and all the pedophiles that the U.S. government was financing with your tax dollars raping children. That worked really well.
It's either that
This is
or
why
no
I'm
law.
skeptical.
No. Hold on. It did work really well. It facilitated it.
Yeah, it protected the pedophiles who went on private jets and flew to an island and raped children with your tax dollars protecting them, as the NYPD, Florida Police Departments, the State Department, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, and all these other police agencies sat by and aided and abetted the larger raping of small children. Your taxes paid for it. And you want more, and you want more of that?
I don't think that implies that law and order is bad and that trying to enforce it across the board is wrong.
No, all I'm saying is that a lot of the times when it's implemented by bad people for sinister reasons. Historically, when you look at people saying, I'm going to come in, I'm going to restore order, they usually restore situations that personally benefit them. Historically.
But like a computer, robot, AI.
Liberty and freedom now do allow human beings to prosper, to grow, and of course to figure things out without a centralized mafia coming in and messing with them.
How do you feel, Drew, about the order and chaos? Like on that scale, where do you fall between 100 being the most ordered and 1 being the most chaotic? How do you view life and the value of order and chaos?
Well, I'm a libertarian, so I believe in having maximum freedom to do whatever I want as long as I'm not harming other people with my actions. So I don't know how that fits on your scale, but that's where I am.
Do you think people should be allowed to own nuclear weapons?
No.
Really?
That's too much of an externality, a damage to me if you misuse it. So,
But
I'm
then
not a big-
who gets to? So nobody should have nuclear weapons.
No, we need to be very careful regulating. There's some things you do need government for. The military is one, foreign policy is two, and then 3 is regulating something that causes externalities that could harm or kill me. So, I trust businesses in general more than government, but I would prefer having nuclear power plants regulated professionally and in a smart manner so there's less risk of a nuclear accident that kills myself and my family.
Well, you just said earlier that the government's needed for state diplomacy. Is that what?
But foreign diplomacy.
Foreign diplomacy. I
Yeah.
wonder if that's changing now, and that the civilianry has enough technology that we can just directly interface with foreign civilianry.
Well, if they were in charge, but they're not in places like Russia and most countries in the world. There's a government that we have to deal with,
Which
so
is like a
that's gonna be
small-
government versus government.
Are they treating them like small corporations that hide their behaviors? Like, are they little cabals? These governments, they're not transparent like the American government's supposed to be.
When you're talking about China, Iran, Russia, really bad governments, really bad people there, and in the case of Iran, really, really dedicated to trying to kill every last one of us.
Is this like why our federal government is so dark? Is because they have no choice but to interact with dark neighbors? They must become the darkness.
I'm not sure I follow the question.
Well, like, we built our federal government to be transparent, adherent to the states, very low power system, but it's become like CIA, NSA, FBI, spying on people, throwing people in prison without charge or trial. Like,
Here's a question.
but is this only to combat the degradation in foreign governments that we see? Like, how can you combat evil if you don't also pick up the sword?
Let me ask it this way: do you think Obama always intended to kill children, or do you think he learned something after becoming president where he felt he needed to?
I'd like to go back to this question first, if I could.
All right.
Because I don't really know a lot about the question you're asking. But, you know, the threat from government, I think, is not our military. It's not our intelligence agencies. The threat I face to my personal liberty is everything from, you know, I used to be a Colorado State Texan. I moved to Colorado resident. I moved to Texas because Colorado Department of Revenue just gave me a $3,000 tax bill, refused to tell me what my mistake was on my tax return. I did every protest I could, filed every form, never got an answer, and then they just took my money from my checking account.
Wow.
I said, to hell with that, I'm out of here. You know, I moved to Texas. The regulations, the building codes are just horrible all over the place. So it's not just the federal government, it's all over the place. And so government, I'm not a fan of when they're interfering with my personal liberties, but it's regulatory government. It's state finance departments. It's not the military or intelligence agencies I'm afraid they're good. That's why when you ask on the biological weapons programs, I trust the Army biological research labs. I trust the people there, trust the military people in charge, that they're honest, good people.
But you want to
tax people regulating me, trying to tell me I've got to have a tamper-resistant outlet in my house, all the nonsense in building codes. The biggest barrier to prepping is the government.
But you would infringe upon my right to have a nuclear weapon.
Yes, I would.
So why can't I say, well, listen, the problem with your outlets is that your house could start a fire and it could affect my land?
Wouldn't start a fire and affect your land where most of my places are. I mean,
I'm supposed to trust that?
This nonsense in building codes is not just in cities.
But why should I
areas.
trust you? Because just because you think, look, I'm obviously responsible. If I had a nuclear weapon, I wouldn't use it willy-nilly. But you don't trust me, so why should I trust you?
Well, you shouldn't trust me with a nuclear weapon because that's very deadly. Me
why should I trust you with anything?
Tamper-proof outlet in my house is not going to in any way impact you.
But what if you do something wrong, and let's say you don't have a tamper-proof outlet, and someone tampers with it, and a fire starts, and it burns down my house?
It's not likely to in any place.
I'm not likely to fire a nuke at somebody.
No, you're likely to have an accident with a nuclear weapon.
You're likely to have an accident with your power outlet.
Yeah, and it won't affect anyone but me.
Except if your house burns down, it'll affect your neighbors.
I don't have neighbors in a lot of my houses.
So I can have a nuclear weapon so long as I'm far away from other people.
Yeah, but look at the effects of nuclear weapons compared to my electric outlet.
Only a 15 kiloton bomb's ever been used. So the issue then you're saying is that liberty only extends as so far as you agree with it.
No, liberty is I should be able to do whatever I want as long as I do not harm other people with my actions.
Me having a nuclear weapon doesn't harm anybody.
Certainly can harm people.
Your house could burn down and harm a lot of people too.
Well, again, I don't think that's
all right. Let's talk about your 357 Magnum lever action. That can harm a lot of people. You shouldn't be allowed to have it.
Well, one, I got the Constitution, which is the other thing I like.
Nuclear arms are still arms protected by the Second Amendment.
I don't think they are.
They actually are. That's why private businesses are allowed to file a form and are guaranteed the right to have nuclear weapons.
I don't believe that's true.
Who makes the nuclear weapons?
They're made by companies under contract to the U.S. government.
And there is a form you can fill out as an FFL to acquire and maintain nuclear weapons.
Good luck with that. I don't think you'd succeed.
Then I think you've got a constitutional argument that when the Founding Fathers signed letters of marque to privateers who had warships under their own command, what's the argument that an individual could not have the same capabilities?
If you're sanctioned by a government in the war to do that, you could do something.
But private citizens had warships. The Constitution was written saying arms are, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, and that included corsairs and privateers. What changed since the Constitution was written that now says I'm not allowed to have warships?
Well, since the 1930s, the Constitution doesn't really matter. The government can do whatever.
So I can take your gun away now because the Constitution doesn't matter?
Under a lot of laws, you can. And they tried it in New York and Washington, D.C., and it's still under threat in some areas.
So my point is, I think you should be allowed to have a gun, and you should be allowed to have a nuclear weapon unless we amend the Constitution to specifically outline that we did not intend for weapons of mass destruction or a certain death yield or something like that. But for the time being, we haven't. And so if private citizens had warships, then Nothing's changed other than our culture no longer allows it. The problem is that also means that we're eventually going to move to a point where they're already trying to ban semi-automatic weapons. The Democrats already tried passing a bill that would ban all semi-automatic weapons that had 10 rounds or more. And this was a few years ago. They amended it, they changed it because they're insane. But unless we say outright we need sound amendment to the Constitution protecting, say, a handgun, a rifle, up to, I suppose, a certain yield or something, then your argument that I can't have nuclear weapons is the same argument they're making as to why you can't have a handgun. Identical argument. Well, the culture changed and the government said you couldn't do it. So that's what happened. Constitution said I could have a warship, drape shot, I could have a man-o-war line with 100 cannons and fucking wipe out the entire seaboard of a nation. And that was allowed and protected. And in fact, so much so, the US government would actually say, we'd like to hire you for your services. Thank you for having a warship. We now have Halliburton, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed, etc., making all of these weapons, and they're private institutions. When did the individual lose the liberty? If we stay on that path, the next step is we're going to lose our guns, then we're all going to be living in the pod, eating the crickets, and that's where we're going, gosh dang it.
Well, again, I'd like to see government doing things like environmental protection and outlawing nuclear weapons, but I agree with you, they should do it properly. You should amend the Constitution when you're adding that power. But again, since the 1930s, it's been irrelevant. If the Constitution allows it or not, the Supreme Court has basically said in several cases that we'll interpret the General Welfare Clause to mean Congress can do whatever the hell they want.
I agree completely. And we see it with, basically what's happening now is the Supreme Court is just ruling on what we think at the time. I'm the individual with the ideology, so I'm in, and now I'll say it. So you end up with Roe v. Wade, then you end up with Roe v. Wade repealed, then you end up with liberals saying, how can you overturn precedent? That makes no sense. And it's like, because judges have discretion. So, yeah, I think the Constitution is basically Swiss cheese and pointless. Mm-hmm. You've got the government spying on a mass scale, violating the Fourth Amendment, and nothing's been done to stop it. We've known about it, and we all just go, that's why I think the whole system's going to implode. It can't go on this way.
Well, empires usually have a 200-year shelf life, and we're around that time where historically empires usually do collapse. And I think, especially when you look at things like Lizzo and Madonna, I think it's pretty clear we're coming to the end of our civilization as humanity. But, I'm just a little pessimistic, but historically, 200 years is usually the cycle.
I think
right?
the issue is there is no point at which you can rest and claim you've accomplished the right balance of liberty and security. There's only people who have disagreements on the scope, and if people are not willing to defend, I'll put it this way, if you don't make the big ask, nuclear weapons, then you lose. And so what happens is the gun control people have continually said things like, we're only trying to restrict, all we're saying is that fully automatic weapons should require a special permit. And then everyone went, fine, we agree. You need a permit. Then a few years goes by, all we're saying is you shouldn't be able to make any new ones. I mean, no one has one anyway. You end up with the revisions to the NFA in the 80s, and now they stop making fully automatic weapons. So step by step, they're chipping away, eroding, and the freedom people, the liberty people, are now, from your perspective, you say libertarian, but I bet if you went back to the 1800s, they'd call you well, they didn't have the word Nazi, but they'd call you a crackpot tyrant who's trying to steal our rights. What do you mean I can't have cannons on my property? What am I supposed to do when the marauders come? Now it's nuclear weapons. But obviously for, nuclear weapons is substantially more dangerous. The issue I see is just, if you don't pull back, you're getting pulled forward. So every step of the way, the liberals, the left, the establishment, the authority is always asking for just a little bit. Just a little bit. Look, the income tax is only 3%. It's only 3%, it's only for the richest people. Right, Luke?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Now it's only 45% for the middle class. And I don't mean just the income tax. I mean taxes across the board. We take half your money. So I kind of feel like we're getting pulled that way because Americans tend to be reasonable and accommodate a minor concession. But the people if people keep giving up these concessions, eventually you're living under a boot, someone goes insane, and then you get a violent revolution, and then it goes back to zero again. Right. Then you've got unregulated nuclear weapons, and you've got people smacking them with hammers and doing God knows what.
Mm-hmm. Another person you might want to have on your show, Ray Dalio also addresses the rise and fall of empires.
I follow him a lot. He's very sophisticated, very good.
Do you know him?
No, not personally.
okay.
I just know a lot
gotta hit him
about him.
up.
Stuff.
He made a YouTube video called "The Changing World Order,"
Yep.
where he detailed the Chinese rise of affluence.
Charles Murray would be another great one, though, for you to have on. I mean, his last
too old.
book. He's not too old.
No, we talked to him. He says he's too old.
Yeah, that's what he said. Okay.
He said that a late night, several hour show is just beyond him at his age.
We got to do a special one in the morning.
Well, he's close to here. We can go do.
Let's do a Saturday one
right,
and
let's
then
do
launch it Monday. Monday night.
Well, we put up Sunday. We do specials on Sunday.
I think it's worth it for the conversation.
What he's called
Sorry,
for,
you're
what he's called for, and I think it's just brilliant. He says what we need to do is just need to have massive disavowal of all these horrible, stupid laws. People just saying no, I'm not going to do it. And Uber has done that. I mean, how did Uber expand? They moved into. Murray talks about that in his book. You know, they'd go into city, start operating blatantly illegally in your face. And then when they started trying to do something, they're not a small company, they're a big company. They said, F you, we'll fight you in the courts, and we'll use the courts against you. Then they got people stirred up saying, what the hell do you mean you're going to outlaw Uber? I've been using it for 3 months, it's fantastic. And they just broke the law. Airbnb breaks laws massively.
Insane.
I've stayed in Airbnbs in D.C. where I'm in a private single-family home, and there's at least 8 different families in there, you know, renting rooms like I am. It's completely illegal. But it's widespread. So the solution to a lot of the mess that's going on is just a disobeying. And back to your gun control stuff, I mean, there are county sheriffs all over the place that said, you know, if they do outlaw AR-15s, we are not going to enforce that.
So you're saying I should build a nuclear weapon?
Not saying that. I would urge you to drop that as an unreasonable example that I don't think helps the cause. Really. It's just too unreasonable. I think you ought to
that's the issue.
I think you ought to stick to stuff that really pisses people off that they can experience of asinine government rules and laws and practices and say start disobeying. That's what Charles Murray outlined in his book.
Well, what you do is you
have
say...
a mass fighting back saying, hell no, we're not going to take it anymore. We're not going to obey this law.
What you do is you say, I want a nuclear weapon. The Second Amendment says, right to keep and bear arms. Nuclear arms are arms. There's no legal definition saying that's not the case. Then when people say, that's ridiculous and unreasonable, I say, why? I have a right to keep and bear arms, right? They go, yeah, but nuclear arms are too dangerous. Who said anything about keeping and bearing arms that weren't too dangerous? Okay, fine, I'll tell you what. How about I can have a howitzer? I won't do the nuclear weapons, I'll just do the howitzer. Fine, that's reasonable, right? I'm coming down from nukes, I can't blow up a country, but I could have artillery. And then they'll say, fine, have the artillery, but no nukes for you. And now I've gone from, they don't want me to have a rifle, to now they're going to let me have a 40, a 72 millimeter artillery shell or something.
Listen, I want a bioweapon. I demand we have all bioweapons right now, and let's negotiate from there. Oh, no, I want AI, artificial intelligence weapons.
Yeah, me too.
I want that.
I like the idea of civil disobedience. I agree with you that that's the way. That's how Gandhi was able to inspire the Indians to revolt against the British Empire and seize independence. The thing is, it's illegal to specify, be like, break this law. Then you get inculpated or whatever it's called inciting people to break the law. But you can generally say, civil disobedience is the way and it should be exercised without specifying the law.
What you can't do is say things like, you should go jaywalk. You can't say things like, all right, I'll stop.
You should never say, just go. Yeah, I'm not gonna.
No, the whitest kids you know did that. He was like, my lawyers informed me that it would be illegal if I told you, go to the White House self-law. Yeah. But if he told someone to jaywalk, is that like, you're gonna get arrested for that? You're inciting to crime. It's like, jaywalk. No, don't jaywalk, everybody. Look both ways and use the crosswalk.
Always look both ways, yeah. Use your best judgment.
I think the way the government gets around people like us is Amazon, right?
Yeah.
It's Amazon, it's Uber, it's these companies where everybody wants Uber, everybody likes Uber, right? So it's actually beneficial to them in the long run because Uber is now experimenting with autonomous cars. Eventually, you won't own a car, you won't have one, and you're easier to control. You call your Uber to get around, the car pulls up, you get inside, and then it starts driving, then all of a sudden it turns red, and goes, door is locked. You are wanted for jaywalking, delivering to police precinct 99, and then granted, that funny voice modulation thing that robots used to do in the 80s wouldn't actually happen in the future. The AI is going to actually speak perfectly.
You will sound like
Ian
your own
Crossland.
father. It'll be crazy. Everyone will be tailored for everyone.
You are being taken to local police precinct 99 for jaywalking. Please remain calm. Hey, Unit's dad.
Listen, you really messed up, man. It'll be like my dad.
An AI of your dad appears.
Yeah, it's gonna be people's
Oh,
emotional. They're gonna get them.
Hey there, son. You were jaywalking.
Remember
again.
when I said
Time
something
to pay
bullshit?
the price.
I'm sorry, but you.
Your
did
worst fear will be manifested in front of you with holograms.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Dahmer appears with a knife.
Whatever needs to get you to pay attention. You know.
The future is going to be ridiculous bullshit. All right. Drew, thanks for hanging out. It's been a blast. And for everybody who's a member, if you switched over from PayPal, thank you for sticking with us. And if you haven't, you can. And we'll see y'all tomorrow.
Cheers, guys.
enema. A terrible name. Ooh, Didier Sacks, Sebastian Dix, Goofy. I'm not no goofy, man. I'm not no goofy. Never been a goofy, man.
No, please, no. Ah! Eat shit. Come on, you piece of shit. Had enough of you assholes on welfare fucking with me. Cool it.
Come check out the new vehicle on the podium. You can win it with just a spin on the lucky wheel. Are you ready for an unforgettable experience? The action is hot at our table games. Live life to the limit. Play around.
I think I saw that actor from that show we like. Which one? You know the one. That's a show we like. I don't know who you're talking about, kid. No, that's a comedy.
I am starving. Do you still have those rolls from the breakfast bar?
The enormous jackpot has been won at the Deity of the Sun slot machine.
This is the life.
Just go easy. Don't forget, we got the piano tomorrow.
Don't worry, I'm lucky, honey.
One pint of that strong beer, you're into this.
You guys are going to the final.
Is your wallet safe?
Yes, it's in my pocket.
Come back soon.
Just enjoy yourself, Kayla. It's fine.
Is there something I can help you with? What'll it be today? Take your time. I'll be right there. With you in a moment. See you again soon.
Yes,
ain't gonna work. getting going? Or did you pussy out already?
personnel only. controversy has broken out over my friend and colleague here, Jordan Peterson,